So it's been a while, and sorry for my microphone. I don't have a wind sock, so I use a bit of cotton wool. And sorry for the background noise. I'm currently sailing from mainland Spain, and I'm heading over to Morocco. Well, I'm actually specifically heading to a place called Melilla, which is a Spanish Spanish territory near Morocco, or just like it's got a border to Morocco. So yeah, it's been a while and I've got some splaining to do. So let's go outside and have a look. It's blowing 20 to 25 knots. Well, I suppose a little bit less than 20 knots, gusting at 25. So we're heavily reefed and we've got a staysail in. So we've got one reef in the main and we've got the staysail up. So I'm going to show you what that looks like and then we're going to talk about what's been going on. So you can see we've got the wind vane on here. We've got pretty well balanced and nice and flat. It's a bit rough. There's quite a strong sea state there, and we're close reaching, so it's a little bit rough. But we'll do what we can. I'm going to stay behind this so that the wind doesn't destroy the microphone. But yeah, right now it's probably at 20. That's about 24, 25 knots there at the moment. I disconnected the anemometer because it wasn't working, and it was just making me nervous because it would show 10 knots when there was clearly 20 knots, so I just gave up. So yeah, I mean, the boat hasn't changed a huge amount since you all saw it last. We've just been kind of doing little improvements. We put in an autopilot. At the moment I'm not using it because I don't need it. I'm using the wind vane, and that's doing really well. That's kind of kept me on a really good course for the last 30 miles from Spain. You can't really see it in the camera, I'd say, but I'm just, there's mainland Spain behind me there now. And I'm just hanging out in my socks, watching the world go by. I'm in the shipping lanes at the moment, so there's quite a lot of shipping. I'm just kind of being careful of big ships because although they're really friendly and they usually move out of the way when I kind of give them the heads up I'm coming, they'll move out of the way for me, which is really nice. So you can see there we've got a nice reef in the main, we've got the staysail up. I'm in the cockpit, so I don't usually wear my life jacket in the cockpit, but if it gets rougher I will put it on, and definitely if I get out of the boat or out of the cockpit I'll always have my life jacket on with my harness. So but right now I'm just chilling in my seat talking to you guys. So we left you in Portimao, which is in the southern west coast of Portugal. It's on the southern coast of Portugal. And we did a little bit of work to the heads in the boat. It was never finished, so we finished that, and we weren't sure what we wanted to do for the summer. So we went to Ibiza in the Med. So we went through to Gibraltar. I'll put a little bit of footage up there, and we sailed to La Linea, which is just next to Gibraltar. Spent some time there. Sailed along the Spanish coast up to Ibiza and spent like 6-7 weeks there, and now I'm on my way back. Anyone who's been following the channel before knows me and Neve are getting married in like 6 weeks time, so she's gone home to get all her dress and finalise the wedding prep and things like that. So I'm bringing the boat to Lanzarote with a bit of a stopover in Morocco on the way, just because I've got time. So I left Spain this morning. I went straight out of the harbour directly south, and I'm just going south really. It's quite a strong breeze, as I said, quite a lot of swell, but the staysail and the one reef in the main are kind of the sweet spot for this kind of weather. The boat's very well balanced. She's quite level, so maybe 10 degrees. Every so often she'll heel to 20-25 degrees as I get a gust or a big wave. Once I'm through the shipping lanes, I will be able to go to sleep for a while. I had a good sleep last night, and I only left at lunchtime, so I slept in. So what I usually do is I'll go down below and spend 30-40 minutes asleep, have a quick look around, come up, have a quick look around, and go back to sleep again until my alarm goes off. And I find that's the best way. I don't know, everyone has their own different things. I don't feel nervous about doing that. I think some people said they feel nervous about leaving it for more than 15-20 minutes, but 40 minutes seems fine. My boat's slow, so it doesn't really cover about the same ground as they would in 20 minutes. So I'll bring you out into the wind. I don't know how this mic's going to do. There you go, I've got the staysail. Actually, I'll bring the mic down in a little bit. So I've got the mic down now in behind. Oh, Jesus, okay. So you can see, nice reef, Nice balanced boat. And there's that swell I was telling you about. It's kind of coming on board every so often, spraying the spray hood. But like when I'm sitting here, I sit in my little chair. I put my feet up here in my little socks, and I'm perfectly happy. Just took a wave there now. Just as I was saying it, I took the camera away and we took a wave. So yeah, I saw a good few comments about people wondering where we were. Have we given up sailing? No, we haven't given up sailing at all. The reason we haven't been doing YouTube videos, and I don't know if it's a fair excuse on us, we both have been actually being able to keep our jobs. So originally we were going to quit our jobs and we were going to go sailing for a few years and see if we could live off our savings and how that would work. But it's actually worked very well for both of us to keep working. So we found that for us to be filming, editing, working full-time, sailing, there was never any kind of time to enjoy the actual trip. So we just had to make a decision, and the YouTube kind of just took a back seat. And we're not going to have work for long, I don't think. So will the YouTube come back in its full kind of, I suppose, in its full glory? I'm not sure. I hope so, but it might just be like me holding a microphone and talking to the camera a little bit and showing you what we're sailing and some of the places. I don't see it being like a vlog thing where you're like, look at what I had for breakfast, and yeah, I just don't see it being that. So I'm going to sail through the rest of this shipping lane, and it'll be probably a bit too dark to film, so I'll catch you when I get to Melilla in like, I think it's like 9 hours away. So I should be there for sunrise, which is awesome. Maybe 12 hours. Hoping 12 hours. I don't want to arrive in the dark into Melilla. Really don't. It's even though it's Spanish territory, it's on a Moroccan coastline, and there's a lot of nets around and unlit things, and I'd just rather wait. So if I have to, I'll have to. But anyway, I will talk to you in the next clip, I guess. So just to show you, if I can, this is what a shipping lane looks like. So I'm this red dot here, or the red arrow, and I'm making my way south down to Melilla. I'm going to try and get a little bit west first, because there's quite a lot of current heading west to east here. So I'm going to try and push further west so that I can ride that current down to Melilla when I get there, instead of cross current. But you can see here, these two guys here are flashing red every so often. That's to say that they're falling within my set AIS limits. I think I set it to like a mile or something. So if they are going to be within a mile of me within like 35-40 minutes, or 2 miles, it could be 2 miles, then they'll flash red and I'll get a really loud buzzing on my tablet that'll tell me. So these guys are going to pass behind me. I think they've probably altered course earlier, because they were quite a bit further. Their track was a lot further south, so they've altered course already, which is nice. So yeah, as you can see, there's kind of a, you see the shipping lane is quite, defined with how many boats are in it. They're usually within that kind of 10 or 15 mile highway as such. So after that there is almost no shipping. So I can probably start thinking about going to sleep in about 2 hours and set my watch clock. There's a little island there I need to be careful of, but yeah, so that's just a little insight into what I see in my navigation, and how I know if there's going to be shipping or if there's anything to be concerned about. Most ships are very good about AIS, but there are in like some cases where ships won't use their AIS, or they forget to switch it on, or some boats don't actually require it by law. So yeah, that's why we would do a watch and why we don't rely solely on the alarms. So I made it to Melilla, pulled into the marina yesterday around 8 o'clock in the morning. So I arrived into, I arrived to land at like 8 o'clock in the morning, just after sunrise, and pulled up here and tied up, and I think I'm going to leave again today. So I went for a walk yesterday, or a cycle yesterday, and it's a really cool place. It's like a fortification. It's a Spanish territory in Morocco, but today the wind is meant to pick up at like 4 p.m. It's like it's 10 now, so I'm gonna go and spend some time exploring. Might go over to the border into Morocco, have a look, have some lunch, and then come back and then leave around like 4 o'clock. So at least then I'll have wind. I don't want to be motoring for 6 hours. I may as well go for a walk. So yeah, I'll catch up with you in a while. It's a Ferrari. So this is my taxi driver, Mustafa.
Mustafa.
We're in Nador.
Luis, no?
Reese, fine, yeah.
Irland, eh? Irland, Morocco. Nador.
Thanks so much, man.
Venga.
So this is my first time in Morocco for a long time. Last time I was here was Marrakesh, about 5 or 6 years ago. And I actually made a video about that as well, on the channel, where we went up the Atlas Mountains. But this place is absolutely not. I don't know why. I mean, it's pretty far off the beaten track, I think. Nador is the name of the place, and I feel like I'm probably going to see some real Morocco today. So I'm just going to walk around. I had a great taxi ride with absolute legend. Had no English, but I have a little bit of Spanish, like very small, from just living in Spain the last 6 months or so. You pick it up as you go. But yeah, this place is a bit of a shock to the senses. I feel a little bit exposed. I haven't seen another tourist yet, so I feel a little, I wouldn't say exposed, because I actually think that the Moroccans are some of the friendliest, nicest people I've ever met. They go out of their way for you. And they're very easy to trust. And I'm very trusting, so I get myself into some stupid situations. But anyway, so yeah, that's why I'm filming down a bit. You can see my triple chins. So I don't want to be rude and video people that don't want to be videoed. So far, not a huge amount to see, which I kind of knew. I mean, I just wanted to see something a bit different, which I have. So there's a lot of stray dogs around, which is different to Spain, where it's like thousands and thousands of stray cats. So that's pretty now. I think I'm in the nice part now. There's kind of like a building there, and then you can see that architecture is vastly different to even crossing the border from Melilla. But anyway, I'll stop boring you with my vlog, and hopefully the next time I have the camera on, I'll be sailing. So hopefully you can hear me over this bit of a headwind. I'm just motoring into it. I've got my microphone behind my hand, so hopefully there's not too much wind noise. But I just left Melilla. Hopefully you enjoyed my ramblings in Nador. Left without any problems, easy to get out of the marina. Super cheap. It was like €7 including electricity for the night, which is the cheapest marina I've ever been in. So could do with finding more of those. Even though we haven't really been in marinas for the summer, going into them every so often is a really nice luxury, and gives you a chance to wash the boat and just generally reorganize yourself without having to worry about anchoring and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just motoring around that headland there now and chilling out on the deck. There's nothing else to be doing, and the motor, the engine drives me insane, so I just hiding from it. There's a little bit of wind, I think about 10 to 12 knots. I'm motoring into that, so it's about 15 knots apparent at the moment. So I'm hoping once I get round that headland, I can turn off the wind, or turn off the engine and head kind of on a broad reach towards Ceuta and then Gibraltar. Ceuta is like Melilla. It's owned by the Spanish, and it's in Africa, but across the way is Gibraltar. It's very strange. But anyway, I'm gonna probably go around that headland, get the main and the Genoa up, hopefully head onto a broad reach, and then that'll be for the next 28 hours or so. But we'll see. I mean, the Med has always got little surprises in store, so I might get a thunderstorm, I might get loads of wind, I might get way less than they forecast, but they forecast 20 to 26, 27 knots, so I'm expecting roughly 30 at some stage or another. But as long as I've reefed, we'll be heading downwind anyway, so we'll be speeding along. So just kind of cleared the headland there now, and there's a pretty strong current that goes west to east along the top of that headland, and you can see it in the water as well. Not quite so much here because I passed it, but the water was kind of boiling. So I think there was about 1 to 1.5 knots, and we were sailing along at 6 knots until we hit that, and then we were doing 2 because the wind kind of flattened off as well. But I have one reef in the main and a full genoa up. My default sail plan now is to put up the main with a reef in it, and especially at night. I'll always reef at night, just because you don't want to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's picked up and you're trying to stand on deck putting in a reef. I don't really want to get myself into that situation, so I reef really early. I'll continue doing this now, probably going to be like this for 4 or 5 more hours before it's forecast to pick up, and then it should be up to 20 knots, so I should get a decent sail, more so tomorrow. I think I just wanted to get moving today and get out into it before it picked up. I find it a lot easier to go out when it's a bit smoother, a bit less wind, warm up to it, and then the wind come on later on. I like that, I prefer that. Because tomorrow if I'd left, it would have been 25 knots when I got out of bed, and leaving a marina like that, it just isn't fun. So I said I'd leave tonight, get a little bit of movement done, and then yeah, I think it'll work out for the best. So we'll just sail off into the sunset now. We'll keep the genoa up as long as we can now until it starts to pick up, and I'll put a reef in later. We'll just keep doing what we're doing here now. I might bear off downwind a bit further later on, because I'm kind of meant to be heading off that way a bit more, and then pole out the genoa and put a preventer on the main. But for now it's pretty good. Just keep this sail up, and you can see there the flag isn't moving at all. My anemometer is spinning, but sure it doesn't work anyway. But anyway, I'll stop rambling and tip away here and let you guys know how it's going. I'm just coming up to Gibraltar. It's about 10 miles away. I can't actually see it. I think there's a bit of fog hanging over it, which is quite common when the Levante comes through, which is the easterly wind. But I've got my foulies on because it's a bit chilly actually, and it looks like it could shit rain in a while. I've got the engine on. There's plenty of wind, but I've got the engine on because there's a really strong current coming through the straits, coming out of the Atlantic, or from the Atlantic into the Med. Kind of threading my way through ships. There's one there that just passed me. There's one over there. There's about 10 or 15 ships around me, and I'm going across the straits before I get into the traffic separation zone. So I have a bit of leeway to get in and out of ships, because if you cross the traffic separation scheme, you need to go directly across it as fast as you can. So I'm doing it before I go in there. I can just see Gibraltar now actually. I don't think you can see it on the camera, but there is a bit of fog, and it's a bit shitty. A very mixed bag of a sail, very, very mixed bag. I had, at the start, motor sailing with a very light breeze, So I motor sailed for about, geez, must have been 16 hours, and then when I woke up this morning, the wind started picking up, and the sea states just deteriorated over the course of the day, which is fine. We were going dead downwind a while ago with the pole up and the main, and oh, she's absolutely herring along. We got 8.5 knots off a couple of waves, and you can never see on camera how shitty it is, but it is a bit rough, and I think that's the effect of the wind blowing over the current that comes out of or comes into the Med through the Atlantic. So yeah, a bit more rambling for you, but yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. I've got plenty of sail up. I'm doing about 5 knots, but yeah, 4.5, 5 knots, but I'm pushing a lot of tide, a lot of current, a hell of a lot of current, probably 2 knots. The boat's very well powered up now, and just threading my way through all these ships. I'll report back if I survive. Should also mention as well, about 10 minutes ago when I started the engine, had absolutely no power, and there's loads of smoke coming out of the back of it, which usually means a fueling issue. And let me tell you now, when I'm in the middle of a shipping lane and my engine won't start, I shat my pants a bit. Even though I've got a lot of, I've got sail and stuff, the wind here is so fluky, it could just drop off in a moment's notice, you know, and it's gone and you've no power. So yeah, I was shitting my pants a little bit, but I don't know what happened. I turned it off, ran the electric fuel pump for a couple of minutes just to make sure that it hadn't sucked any air, and it started perfectly. And it's, touch wood, okay so far. So I think maybe just being thrown around, I don't know, I'm gonna have to do some checks, but yeah, I didn't enjoy that. So apologies if the audio isn't great. I can't find my microphone, it's buried somewhere. But we just left La Linea, which is on the border of Gibraltar. It's the Spanish side of Gibraltar, the border. So we're heading through the Straits this morning, and anyone who knows anything about the Straits, it can be pretty difficult to get through if you get the tides and the currents wrong. So yeah, we think we got it right. When I say we, my Norwegian friends on Cyclist, Jan and Siri, that I was cruising with for the summer, they're ahead of me now at the moment, and we look like we're going okay. I'm doing about 6 knots, which is a little bit more than we normally do, so we must have a little bit with us. So yeah, we would basically just anchored for a couple of days, got a bit of rest, did a few engine checks and little things that I needed to tweak and keep on top of. And it looks like today is going to be mostly motoring, and then when we get past a place called Tarifa, which is the windiest place in Europe, I'm expecting about 25 to 30 knots as it funnels through the Straits for a few hours. I'm hoping anyway, because it means we can sail. And then we'll cut across the shipping lanes directly south from about 5 miles west of Tarifa. We'll cut south to Tangier in Morocco. So that's going to be pretty awesome. So yeah, I won't bore you with the Straits, it's pretty boring. I'll show you. This is the Spanish side. The Moroccan side is over there, you can't really see it. And then Gibraltar is back there in the fog. So yeah, and then there's just a massive shipping lane. There's 100,000 boats ships, big ships go through here every year. So it's a very, very busy place. And this is also the Orca hotspot, but I think they're up in A Coruña at the moment. So I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, so we'll just keep carrying on through, and I'll catch you when you get to Tangier, or even when something interesting happens. So it's getting a small bit rough now. There's like 20, I think it's 26 knots. I got my odometer working, or whatever it's called, my anemometer. It's like 26 knots, 27 knots. And a little bit more in the gust. So we've got 2 reefs in the main and the staysail, and we're doing 7 knots. And there's a bit of a messy sea running as well. The autopilot's actually struggling to keep up with it. Yeah, we're moving well. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on things here now. You can see the sea there is a little messy. I feel very well protected. We're not heeling that much, maybe 20 degrees. A little more every so often. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. 6.5-ish. We're heading down here. So that's pretty much it from me this time round. I'm in Tangier, in the marina, so I got into Tangier pretty easily. Took ages to do clear customs, and they were very suspicious of me. And they searched the boat, and I don't know, got some very strange questions. But anyway, there's Scythelus, my very good friends from Norway. They arrived in with me, and we're gonna do the Lanzarote trip next. I think they'll be about a week behind me, and then we'll meet up again in Lanzarote. But so yeah, we're in Morocco. There's our OCC Met flag and our Morocco flag, and basically, yeah, that's it from me basically today. So I'm gonna put in some, like, obviously we haven't done a video for so long. I've got loads of like small random clips, so I'm gonna put those at the end, just one after the other. No music or anything, because I'm gonna just give up on the music thing. Because trying to get licenses for music is a pain. People don't seem to like it very much. So this is gonna be the new format, I think. If I can keep the videos going like this, just let me know what you think. Is this kind of what you want to see? If not, fine, no problem. But if you do, I'll keep making them. And yeah. So yeah, I think the next video will be me going from here to Lanzarote. I'm going to take a small trip inland while I wait for wind, because there's no point in sitting in the marina for a few days. So I'm going to take a trip inland, and when I get back, I'm going to leave Tangier and do the 600 miles to Lanzarote, which will be my biggest trip alone by far. So tune in for that, and yeah, hope you enjoyed this, and see you in the next video in like 2 years. There's an old French fella there now.